Hi! Today we're going to continue on the Doll 366. We'll make the boiler, and without having done anything, this is already the state that things are in. Remember when I built the Doll 362 that I had two boiler housings lying around, so I just bent them both in one go. I've bought a piece of tubing and the dome to go along with it, and I couldn't even remember, but I apparently also made these cutouts for the air vents, which is a shame because when I made the drawings I wanted a different style. And I still want this different style because I don't want two boiler housings to look exactly the same. You can see I made a little bit of a difference on the sight glass as well, and the safety valve weight is different. Chimney's got a different top. It's little nuances like the fire door as well, but I didn't want to make an exact copy of the first one just to, just try something different. So it looks like, although these things would work out perfectly fine and they look nice and all, I'm going to discard them and make ones like these instead. The drawing specifies these to be 2 millimeters thick. I don't have anything 2 millimeters thick, so I'm going to do something different. Namely, start with a piece of square bar and then part off 2 millimeter thick pieces, one after the other.
Der Frühling kommt ins Land, nimm dein Mädel bei der Hand, nimm sie dir, zieh mit ihr hinauf. Denn da liegt so in der Luft der gewisse Fliederduft, und da schlägt dir dein Schatz nicht auf. Unter Bäumen kannst du mit ihr träumen, unter Himmel lacht herab aufs Moos. Wenn der Frühling kommt ins Land, nimm dein Mädel bei der Hand, und das Glück fällt dir in den Schoß.
The shaper makes real quick work of deburring, chamfering and radius cutting, so I won't need to do any real finishing work on the radii. All I do is put a bit of wet sanding into the plane face here to make it nice and smooth, because once it's nickel plated it should be reflective as a mirror. I'd like to spice things up a little bit with a couple details. Such are these bullseyes. I've already drilled 3 holes on each side for them to get into, and then the idea is to make these very thin walled here and a little longer than the metal is thick. And once they are chrome plated, nickel plated, just peen the insides over by using a ball and a pair of pliers to crimp this edge over, and then they should never get lost.
Unter Bäumen kannst du mit ihr träumen, unter Himmel lacht herab aufs Moos. Frühling kommt ins Land, nimm dein Mädel bei bei der Hand, nimm sie dir, zieh mit ihr hinaus. Denn da liegt so in der Luft der gewisse Fliederduft und da schlägt dir dein Schatz nichts aus. Unter Bäumen kannst du mit ihr träumen und Rimmel lacht darauf aufs Moos.
Die ich montags überschau, auch die nächste Woche wieder ist genauso flau. Man hat vom Leben fast nichts. Wann fängt denn bloß ein schöneres Los für mich mal an?
As with any boiler, this turned out a debacle. I decided midway through that I would have to combine silver and soft soldering in one go because through heating this pipe here, this end would get so hot that I would risk ruining the sealing surface if there was nothing in between through oxidation. And once that is oxidized and the tube soldered on, I cannot remove the cap and clean it up. So I decided add the soldering paste, solder this here, add any amount of soft solder in here to just cover things up. No need to make it pretty or anything. Just have something in there and then silver solder this here. And I'm probably going to have to revisit this solder joint because it's probably not seal proof. The one at the bottom went pretty much fine though. So did the dome here. It's way too much solder, but I can always clean that up. And well, it's all together. I'm going to let this cool off, probably fill it with water and boil that to get rid of all the borax. Once that's done, we can start pressure testing it. Alright, after a few redos, I've got it leak proof now. What you can see dripping here is the seals from the screws which I put in there. Other than that, all seems fine. So now I can clean up the solder joints and trim off the edges of the flame tube here. I suppose the next logical step would be to make the boiler bands and the blocks to mount them onto, so I can strap the boiler down without it falling out. The fasteners for the boiler bands look a little like this. I've decided to modify this design as well from the ones in the last steam engine build, but however I'm going to machine them pretty much the same because I just happen to have a block which is wide enough to make 2 out of, and then I'm just going to make 3 in a row. That gives me 6, and then I've got 2 spares. So we're going to start hogging out a keyway in the middle, shall we call it, which is going to be this ledge right here. Then we're going to saw them through in the middle and machine the slanted edge onto it, or we'll switch operations, we'll see. Let me tell you, this is not some easy machining steel. How do I know? Well, the tool just started jumping and rattling about, so I decided to feed in a little bit more, and then the tool bit decided it wasn't having it. So, shite! Alright, I've done a few tests and I think the most logical approach to this will be to use a left hand and a right hand tool and to cross this pattern out of here. Work on the left side until this is all one slant, and then switch tools, work on the right side, and gradually work myself down. It's going to take a little bit longer, but through machining this little bit here, hearing, it seems to be a much tougher stuff than your usual steel. Also the chips are coming off blue, so yeah, we'll have to take it a little bit slower. I mean, if this was about getting things done fast, then I wouldn't have a shaper and this wouldn't be my hobby, right?
Was mir bleibt in trüben Tagen ist nur dann und wann ein kleiner Schimmer des Lichts, wenn ich sonntags in ein Kino geh und im Film die feinen Leute seh, denk ich immer wieder, könnte ich mal, ach könnte ich mal genauso glücklich sein. Alle Tage Sekt und Kaviar und ein Auto und ein Schloss sogar. So was wünsch ich mir schon lang in meiner kühnsten 75 Pfennig Blatt sehn ich mich nach einem süßen Schatz.
Alright, the middle part is hollowed out, so now we can slant the sides.
Der genauso wie im Film am Schluss mich glücklich machen muss. Wenn ich sonntags in mein Kino geh und den Himmel voller Geigen seh, träum ich noch am Montag früh einmal leben so wie die. Doch zu sowas kommt man nie.
So I've made a nice little house. Now it's time to chop it apart and drill holes into it.
Alle Tage Sekt und Kaviar und ein Auto und ein Schloss sogar. So was wünsch ich mir schon lang in meiner kühnsten Träumerei. Auf dem 75 Pfennig Blatt sehn ich mich nach einem süßen Schatz, der genauso wie im Film am Schluss mich glücklich machen muss.
You know, I'm away from university for over 2 years now, and since that time I haven't had any access to a CAD license. I got mine for free for the university, and then because it was a professional program I got spoiled and I didn't want to use anything else anymore. So all the plans which I made for all the steam engines, they are from before that time and have just been printed out waiting to be realized. And now when I come back to this, I see, you know, little things that I just don't like, mostly design-wise, which I think I could improve on. And making aesthetic choices now is a lot harder because you can't just play around with the CAD file and you know, add a line here or make a contour shallower or an angle wider, find out which works best looks-wise, so you'll have to do it on the part itself, you know, file a stroke here, file a stroke there, add a facet there and see how it looks like, and do that all very gradually and be able to decide early on in the process what's too far and what's wrong and why it looks wrong and what needs to be corrected and how to do it, instead of just printing out a contour that works onto your workpiece and then copy that contour with the file. So this is a very painstaking process. I wanted to add like a bracket shape onto these boiler band holders, and started out with a straight bracket and started doing that on the workpiece and realized I wasn't liking it at all. And now I've just added a slight bit of a slant to that, and I think it just looks much nicer. So now I'm going to file that onto here, having no measurements to go by, just, you know, doing file strokes here and there, and then a little bit more, and blending contours in, taking a look at them, and working myself forward until I've got something that works out. Which, to be honest, is part of what makes this interesting. It's not just copying plans and making the parts, but really deciding just right when you're making them, how you're going to make them. Aesthetic decisions are always highly personal, but I think we're heading in the right direction here. This swooping edge is a lot more refined than just a straight corner. I mean, I could put just chamfers on the sides, that would probably help it a lot already, but yeah, this, I mean, it just looks nice is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Wenn ich sonntags in mein Kino geh und den Himmel voller Geigen seh, träum ich noch am Montag früh einmal leben so wie die. Doch zu sowas kommt man nie.
Alright, I've knocked out the chimney here quick using an old shock absorber. Luckily it's the same thing from the last boiler as well, so I still had the mandrel here to pound this tapered on, and I'll weld this shut at work.
Psych!
Doesn't look too shabby actually. Right here something happened that I don't know what, because suddenly there is an overlap and I didn't chuck it up in a way that there was one. Anyways, I think we can grind that flush, and for the rest, I mean, yes, there is a small seam visible, but that's alright. I mean, the originals were just folded over tin strips, which will have a parting line as well. So if we tidy that up a little bit, and then, you know, glue it, it's gonna work just fine. Now I've got a gauge to use to make the holder here for the chimney which it gets put on, and the crown of course, rather than like the last time make the crown and the holder first and then discover the chimney is going to behave differently when I bend it and it's not going to be round and having to readapt this. No, I think this is the easiest way. So yeah, now I've got the gauge and I'm just going to take a look if the video is long enough. Yep. Seems about right. Thank you all for watching. See ya, bye bye.